The man who once oversaw royal protection has just dropped a bombshell. And we heard it before, but it seemed like it's getting some traction. And Neil Basu, the former head of counterterrorism and a key member of RAVEC, has confirmed what many suspected. Prince Harry was failed from the top. Basu say if the Queen or the future King had asked, Harry would have had full police protection. So why didn't they? If you support truth and fairness of Harry and Meghan, hit the subscribe button, guys, because here we reveal what mainstream won't. In an explosive interview with The Telegraph, Neil Basu spoke candidly about what really happened behind the scenes when Harry's security was stripped away after stepping back from royal duties. His words have sent shockwaves through royal circles because for the first time, someone from inside the system or know about the system admits the decision to downgrade Harry's protection was political, not procedural.
Do you think Prince Harry should be on that list, on that protected list?
And I'm not supposed to talk about these things, but I think the way he's been treated, and this, whether you like the Duke of Sussex or not, or Prince Harry, or however you want to refer to him, isn't really the issue. I mean, there are plenty of people on that list that people will have very polarizing views on. Particularly, I mean, obviously the Prime Minister is on that list, and if you're not politically affiliated to that party, you might be horrified that we spend so much money protecting a Prime Minister, but you would understand why. You would probably, I like to think, understand why the assassination of the Prime Minister might be a big issue for the country. So there are lots of people on that list that people like or dislike. They're on that list because of the reasons we've just said. There is either a threat to them, and that threat is so high, and the risk of the way that they work so high, and the impact of anything happening to them so high, that risk has to be mitigated in some way. And that risk can be mitigated in lots of different ways. But the full mitigation is full arm protection.
So Prince Harry has spoken about...
He was very close to the top of that list for very obvious reasons.
At that point, he was, as far as I understand it, the threat against him was so high that he was second in the hierarchy, in terms of the royal family hierarchy, he was second only to the late Queen at that point in 2019 in terms of the threat against him. I wouldn't
describe it like that. He was certainly one that did.
And so this was one of his main arguments in the recent court case, is that he said he obviously was never given a risk analysis latterly. So when they were making all these decisions, when RAVEC was making these decisions about whether to give him automatic protection in 2020, he didn't have another analysis, and the previous one had only been done the previous year, and obviously he was very high. It was a high risk. He says that he inherited the risk at birth, and that if anything, I think most people would probably agree that if anything, the risk against him for some of those reasons you've just mentioned has only gone up. It's not, since he left the royal family. Here, there's kind of big movement on social media against him. It's very viral, vocal anti-Sussex squad online. His book, where he talked about his combat in Afghanistan, his Taliban kill count, was very polarising. There's various strands which make him potentially a higher risk now than he was in 2019. Why then would you not give him another risk analysis when making the decision about whether or not to give him automatic protection?
I have no idea, and I think it's a mistake. So the way you've just described, I'm looking at this from the outside now, but bear in mind I was still there up until July 2021, and his risk profile certainly hadn't changed until the point I retired from the head of counterterrorism. In fact, it had only increased because of the reasons you've just said. I think his book came out slightly afterwards, but there were the media coverage of the comments he had made about his combat service. It may have been unwise to make those comments. That's for other people to decide or judge on. It's irrelevant to the fact of whether he was a threat. He was already a threat because he served for the British military, full stop, not because he was the Duke of Sussex. He was already a threat in that respect. We also imprisoned people who were effectively extreme right-wing terrorist who didn't like the fact that he had married a black woman. So he had that as well against him and his family. And then latterly, as somebody who took on the media in terms of phone hacking as a victim, and someone who had been roundly condemned by the media, that had certainly set the public against him. And yes, you're absolutely right, there was a viral campaign against him. Fail to see how any of that would have reduced his threat and risk.
Basu exact quote: "If the Metropolitan Police had been asked to protect the Duke of Sussex by either the head of state, whether it was the Queen at the time or the King as it is now, we would have protected that person." He's saying anybody it was, they would have protected them. That's right, guys. It is and was within King Charles's power to ensure Harry remained protected, and he didn't. Sir Clive Alderton, you are a disgrace. Neil Basu knows the system better than anyone. As a former head of counterterrorism command, he sat on RAVEC, the Royal and VIP Executive Committee, the very group that decides who gets state-funded security. When asked about Harry's case, Basu said something that should concern everyone. They didn't think he would leave. Because he went and married a black woman, and when they abused her, Harry said, "No, I'm not putting up with this." Let that sink in for a moment. The royal institution underestimated Harry's courage to walk away, and when he did, they seemed to punish him for it. Basu hinted that the review process, supposedly fair and independent, might not have been as objective as claimed, and the real problem, the palace had more influence than most people realize.
Why then would you not give him another risk analysis when making the decision about whether or not to give him automatic protection?
And I'm not supposed to talk about these things, but I think the way he's been treated, and this, whether you like the Duke of Sussex or not, or Prince Harry, or however you want to refer to him, isn't really the issue.
He says that he inherited the risk at birth, and that if anything, I think most people would probably agree that if anything, the risk against him for some of those reasons you've just mentioned has only gone up. It's not, since he left the royal family here, there's kind of big movement on social media against him. It's very viral, vocal anti-Sussex squad online. His book where he talked about his combat in Afghanistan, his Taliban kill count, was very polarising. There's various strands which make him potentially a higher risk now than he was in 2019.
According to insiders, the key figures in this decision weren't faceless bureaucrats. They were King Charles and his powerful private secretary, Sir Clive Alderton, a man often described as the gatekeeper of royal access. That's why Harry called him the Wasp, because he's not a good person. The Wasp, and someone else he called the Three Stooges. Basu didn't name Alderton directly in his Telegraph interview, but those close to the situation have long said Alderton played a major role in advising Charles on security and protocol decisions after Megxit. The message was clear. Harry chose to step back, so he should no longer receive the same protection. Stepping back from royal duties didn't mean stepping out of danger. Harry's life remained under threat. The Duke himself revealed in court filings that he receives daily threats from extremists and online hate groups. Neil Basu's credibility is beyond question. This isn't a tabloid pundit. This is a decorated police leader who oversaw anti-terror operations across the UK. When someone of his stature says that Harry could have been protected if the king had asked, that's not speculation, that's fact. And it directly undercuts the palace's narrative that the security review was impartial. Really, we're not stupid. It also confirms what Meghan and Harry have said all along, that decisions about their safety were driven by ego, not logic. Public reaction has been swift and emotional. Many are asking why a working royal son who served 2 tours in Afghanistan and continues to be a global statesman would be left so vulnerable. Harry has things to do. Harry is a humanitarian and a philanthropist, an entrepreneur. He has to go places, and he served the UK. There's no way they should leave him so vulnerable. And it's not almost, they use security as a wedge. They use security for him to leave his wife, for him to remain in UK, be strapped in the UK. But this is wrong, because at the end of the day, he's still vulnerable to these threats. I mean, people of less caliber is getting high top-notch security. And Prince Harry, who served the country, who is a king, who is a son of the king, he's left so vulnerable because what? He married a black woman, because he married a woman who knows what she wants and who is very articulate and intelligent and everything that is good. And they didn't like that. And because Harry decided he wanted to walk away for his own mental safety, they took away security from him. It's like an abuser. An abuser take away everything that you have to let you want to stay. It's exactly what they did. Especially when non-working royals like Prince Andrew, who faced far more serious controversies, retained far higher levels of security for years. The hypocrisy is glaring. Even when they took away Andrew's security, Charles was even paying his security privately. Look at the audacity, and look at what Andrew is mixed up in. And you're telling me Harry, who's doing such a great job globally and around the world, was punished because what? He wanted to protect his family, his wife, his children? Are you crazy? On social media, supporters praise Basu for breaking the silence, calling him a man of integrity and the first to admit what everyone knows, that Harry was treated unfairly. Basu's comments expose a deeper issue: the monarchy's inability to separate personal emotions from public responsibility. This wasn't just about logistics, it was about punishment. By denying Harry the security he clearly needed, Charles and his aides sent a message: you're either with us or against us. Like they love to say, you're either in or you're either out. But that's different from someone's life being in danger. That has nothing to do with a choice you make to want to leave an institution, a toxic institution. This is now your security, being safe, feeling that's one of the self-actualization, safety. Safety is first and foremost. And especially Harry was not only thinking now of himself, he had to think about his wife Meghan, his children Archie and Lilibet. This was really unreasonable and wrong on so many levels. But what kind of institution withholds protection from its own son simply because he chose love and independence over royal control? As Basu made clear, the police would have done their job if only they were asked. Powerful statement, guys. This was so wicked. Neil Basu's courage in speaking out could finally turn the tide of public understanding. It confirms that Harry wasn't the reckless rebel portrayed by tabloids. He was a man let down by those who should have had his back. And let's be clear, did you know that they took away Harry's security? So all his BS where they're going, oh, he wrote Spare and they did a Netflix. This was done long before all of that. Harry was left vulnerable. Harry was left out in the cold. Harry was left without security, without any form of safety net. And you tell me, Harry is such a sweetheart because he's really playing nice, and I definitely would not. So guys, he was let down by the very system that was there to protect him. So here on Global Sussex, we stand for truth and fairness. So if you believe Prince Harry deserves the same respect and protection as any other royal or any of the high profile royal, because he's way up there, he's even above all of them in terms of safety and what is needed, what is required, hit that like button, subscribe, and join a community that values facts over fiction. This is Global Sussex, where we tell the story the palace doesn't want you to hear. So yes, guys, I'm telling you, this is so powerful. Bye, guys.